the club. How do you feel it went?
Oh, it was a blow. First game back. First 90 minutes for me actually. In about 3-4 months. Struggled with injuries through pre-season, and that is a big pitch out there. It's great for me to play on because I can play. But we were hanging on a bit at the end, and I literally don't care. 3 points first game, so.
It's a bit of a settler, the first appearance of the season, isn't it? You know, you get all the pre-season, all the sort of organisation, but when you cross that white line, you're coming up against opposition you perhaps don't know, and you know they put a performance in. They were very, very, very determined and disciplined.
They was. You can't wait anyone off in this league, especially in the summer. Teams rebuild, we rebuilded, so you never know what to expect. In Christmas time, you start seeing what teams are about. But we know Widnes are going to come here and have a fight, and that's what they did. And I've limped off, a few others have limped off, but again, 3 points, don't care.
Yeah, so how did you feel? I mean, because Leek have always had this reputation of getting the ball down and playing some good technical football, but when you come up against a side that are as direct as Widnes were today, you know, is it just a matter of getting the job done?
Yeah, listen, we want to play football, but if teams come here and make it a fight, we're going to fight, we're not going to back down. We can do both sides, we're just showing it there. We can stick it out. We tried a few passes in the first half, playing through them, wasn't quite coming off, and then ball from me over the top is what undone them. So we've got both types of ways to play in the locker, so it's just always a positive.
So you come to Leek Town, you've been around a few clubs, but what's it like as a player coming into a new dressing room? You know, how do you go about sort of settling yourself in, and did you know any of the lads before you joined?
Do you know what? I'd say it's one of the hardest things in football, especially if you're shy. I'm quite confident. I knew Tom Riley, driving with him every day. But the lads are great. I was thinking when I come in at half time, I don't think I've ever played properly in a team that has ran for each other. You see teams running for themselves, but if I'm out of position, I've got Ross, Grove, someone covering me, and everywhere over the pitch, the back four, blocks, running, covering for each other. It was amazing.
And what can we expect from the new players? Because obviously Leek have always had a tight, sort of smally squad by comparison to some in this league. But what do you think we can expect from the new signings?
Well, I've come here on one job, to get promoted up in the league above. The same with the other lads, the mentality is massive. No one's coming here to, this league, we'll stay in this league now. We're trying to go up. And you buy into it, you've got to buy into it. And even some of the lads who wasn't in the team today, Tom Riley there's come on, done brilliant, do you know what I mean? We need everyone in it together to go up, so that's the aim.
And you need more than 11 players, because we also see at this level, I mean, one of our other local clubs has a glut of players at the moment, and obviously some of them have been told that they're not going to play. But you do need a bigger squad, don't you? And the squad really does, it matters.
Yeah, you see it in every league. Arsenal, Man City, they've got about 3 teams, haven't they? We were doing a squad photo the other day, and we were saying, well, the coaching staff were saying this is probably one of the biggest squads we've ever had, which is definitely not a bad thing. Competition for places, more competitive in training, so everyone's pulling in the right direction, and from what I've seen today, I think we should be challenging right up there.
Well, outside of Leek Town, we know you're from the Liverpool area, so which of the teams do you support?
I don't even want to say after today. I've just went in there, Everton. Got beat by 4 and I could not believe it.
Dear oh dear.
Yeah.
Listen, it can only get better.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Tom. It's been a real pleasure, and we wish you a really successful period at Leek Town.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers, that's Tom Scully there. And we know that the football season, and we were saying to young Tom Scully there that that was a battling performance, and it really was a battle.
Yeah, it was. And he's a good player, isn't he?
We've enjoyed watching him. Yeah, we've enjoyed watching him.
Yeah, he'll make a difference, certainly to our attacking. Yeah, it was a battle. I thought we were good first half. More than happy with that. Not causing as many problems as we'd like. Second half, I wasn't. From the word go, they gained the initiative, and never really relinquished it in the second half. We had isolated moments, probably good counter-attacks where we should have scored. But they certainly had the majority of the play. But the busy of the 2 goalkeepers was theirs, I thought.
Yeah, it's fair to say that. I mean, they would have been a little bit disappointed they didn't come away with something for sure. But that also means that your side have done their job defensively.
Well, I thought we were far too deep in the second half. It was noticeable. It'd be even more noticeable up here, which was a problem last year. But it was the first game of the season, and there's a lot of nerves about, and you know, we weren't quite right there, but they stayed steadfast, and I thought our organisation was good. They got too many balls into the box from crosses, but we defended the majority of them well. What we weren't able to do is use the ball as well as we might have done. But Tom Carr, Trickett Smith and Aaron all had good chances to sew the game up. We didn't take it, which meant we were hanging on. I say hanging on, we were defending too much, and then when Keane's gave that free kick away right at the end, I could have gone mad. He should know better. I've told him that. All in all, it's nice to win your first game. We looked a little bit rusty. They looked a team who'd played a couple of competitive games that we hadn't. Clean sheet, some good performances, some not so good. It's a good start.
No chance of a training session though, before your next competitive game, which comes at Chasetown on Tuesday. So, first game of the season, you've got the win. As a manager, do you stick or do you twist? Do you bring other players in? Because you've got what we all think is probably the biggest squad we've ever known at Leek Town.
Yeah, we're in a healthy position, numbers wise, and we'll get better when everybody's fit, and it'll cause more problems, but I don't mind those problems. Changes, they'll only be because of players' physical state rather than anything else. I shall look at that. There were one or two, blowing and doing towards the end of the game, which always happens. First one, is it wise to go with them again, or just to give them a breather? I've got a few days to make my mind up on that.
Well, you have. Ross Davidson took a knock, didn't he? And he limped. He did well to actually finish the game because he was done by one. I think it was number 6. I think he was there, number 6, who didn't. We thought had a pretty good game in Irwin. But he hasn't got a lot of time to recover.
No, there were a few bad challenges I thought during the game that went ignored, which surprised me. There was one or two of our lads kicked the ball away and he totally ignored it, which I thought they were being really hot on. He wasn't today, but I've got no complaints against the referee. He was fine. Ross, I kept Ross on even though I knew he was tiring and struggling, because he knows what we do. He knows the role, he knows what's required. And even though he made good decisions at the end of the game, I thought.
So, obviously, we know that there's been a directive put out to the referees to concentrate on kicking the ball away and time wasting and stuff like that. Does that get communicated at a club level as well? Do you get that sort of directive as well?
Well, we get it sent through. I think in the upper echelons, they have a referee that comes out and spells out what's required and what's going to happen and what's going to change. I thought of doing that with Dave Critchlow. I didn't, but Tuesday night we had 10 or 15 minutes on it, telling them what the refs are going to be really hot on, and they weren't. We actually penalised our own players in training this week if they knocked the ball away or did anything. So they're getting used to what's going to happen, certainly in the early stages of the season.
Well, you've had changes, obviously players coming in, and changes to the management team as well. We've got a new goalkeeping coach and Josh Bryatt's come in. What are they giving you, Neil? What's making it different?
Dom's a very good coach, who's coached at Stoke and Port Vale, and has had experience in non-league football. I think Mark Grove got quoted in the local paper this week that the intensity of the sessions had been higher, which the players thought they they benefited from that, and their fitness levels were higher at this stage of the season. So that's good. Dom's a dual. He works the goalkeepers really hard. He comes in extra, spends extra time with them doing the analysis and everything, and he's very thorough in what he does with them.
And we saw him out at half-time just putting O'Shaughnessy through his paces as well. That's something that we're not... What do you think about Joe O'Shaughnessy, Neil? He's a big lad, isn't he? 6'6"?
Yeah, he's... I hope he's going to be an improvement on Danny, else I've made a poor decision. I think he will be. Good size, he handles the ball well with his feet, takes the crosses. My concern is whether he gets down in the corners, but I watched the session in the week and he was getting down. I think we've got two good goalkeepers. I've been very pleased with Eric Murner as well. And it was a toss-up, and nobody's guaranteed to play. And we had discussions with the coaching staff, and Joe started today.
Is there any other players that we're likely to see on a team sheet? Are you waiting for any more to come back, or have you got your eye on signing anybody else?
Well, Milanovic is injured at the moment. He's still getting over his shoulder injury. We signed George Lewis from Stoke 2 weeks ago. He got injured against Crewe. We're signing Mo Akanji, and we're waiting for his international clearance. So, yeah, we're not quite finished yet.
And that brings its own problems, doesn't it? Because we were saying, we know that kids go with 20 odd players that can't play them all, can't even put them in a match day squad. You're going to be disappointing some people.
Tony, that's the job, I'm afraid. Pre-season, you don't upset anybody. Results aren't important. Everybody gets what you hope is a fair amount of game time. You're not dropping anybody, you're not leaving anybody out. Now it's different, but I've been doing it for 40 odd years, so I can handle that. It's not nice, believe you me, when you're leaving players out your squad. Even those on the bench are disappointed. We had a couple who weren't in the squad today. It's not nice, it's not easy, but it's part of the job.
But as we just said to Tom Scully there, you need a squad. You've got to have strength and depth.
That's been proven over the last 2 years, where at the end of the season we've been a bit thin on the ground. Now, things can change very quickly at this level. I've just said to those that haven't been involved or haven't started, football's a game where a couple of injuries, a suspension, lack of form, and all of a sudden you're back in. You've got to be ready, and if you go sulking around the place, I shan't even put you on. So, back the players that are starting, support them, because next week it might be you who's playing, and you'll need their support. And that's a way of trying to foster good team spirit.
But there is good team spirit out there, because as Tom Scully said, he's never played for a side where the players are running around and for him and covering for him. If he gets out of position, you mentioned Ross and Grocott that come in and settle in. So it must have impressed him that the team spirit that you've managed to build.
Yeah, they've certainly freshened the whole place up. We brought in some good lads, not just good players, good attitudes, good people, and they've quickly bought into what we do. They seem to enjoy what we are doing. Which is fantastic. Settling new players in isn't easy, but we've got a solid core of team or the squad that were with us last year, and they've helped to embrace the new players.
Neil, thanks for joining us. I'm sorry it was a lengthy one. It's a while since we spoke to you, but you've got us buzzing at the start of the season. Just another 38 weeks of this. That is Neil Baker joining us live on Moorlands Radio. We're going to come back. We're going to start wrapping things up next.